forcing him to go to school as a boy, dressed up as a girl, that's crazy, dude. At 8 or 9, you're trying to chemically castrate your own child. What kind of evil, sick shit is it? Like, are these people, man? There be some evil women out there, man. There be some evil women.
Chemically castrate my son.
Oh my god.
So what I...
They actually did it.
Boy, right?
No,
Alright, I skipped ahead a little
I'm
bit.
a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
I would kill my
Why
wife.
did she tell you you were a girl?
Or
I
ex-wife.
love girls.
Oh, I see. So mommy told you you were a girl?
Uh-huh.
Does mommy do anything else like with a girl with you?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Like dresses.
What does she do?
She do put them on me.
She puts dresses on you? Oh wow.
If my ex-wife or my current wife were to put dresses on my kid, like on my sons, I'd be livid, man. I don't know how this guy remains calm like that. Like, obviously, what I'm saying is an emotional response. Obviously, he did the correct response, which is like documenting it and just containing his emotions. You know, for every emotion, you know, it will subside. You just got to kind of remember that if you want to think logically and step through it. But I would be fucking pissed off. You know, these are my sons. This is my name. You know what I mean? And you're fucking tainting them with bullshit at such a young age. It's fucking weird, dude.
And what else does she do?
She buys my headbands.
Uh-huh.
And she get me hair clips.
Oh, hair clips? Okay. What else?
Some microphones.
What else?
Like a skeleton.
Does she do anything with your fingers?
Yeah.
What?
She paints my nails.
Why does she do that?
Because I don't like nail polish.
Oh. So mommy puts you in a dress and puts nail polish on you? Mm-hmm. And what does mommy tell you?
She tells me I'm a girl.
Oh, okay.
That's fucked, dude.
Do
That's
you think you're a girl?
That's got to be child. What is it? Child abuse, right? It's like child mental abuse. You know, you're misleading a child and giving them like false realities that they're another gender, which is totally fucked, right? I mean, my opinion on this shit is that like I live in fucking reality, not La La Land. Like, yeah, you're born with, you know, you're either male or female. That's my honest opinion. You're either male or female. Obviously, there's outliers, but there's also people born with mutations all the time. You know what I mean? As far as like people saying like gender dysphoria and all these other mental issues, that's what it is. Just mental issues. Our brain is very complex. You know, and I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything about this shit, because I don't. I'm a layman. You know what I mean? But I can still have an opinion on shit, just like you guys can have an opinion on that. You can wholeheartedly disagree. I'll think you're fucking stupid, but, you know, you can totally disagree with that. Hold on a second. I got to bring up my other shit. Uh-oh. Where the fuck's my shit? My viewers. Or not my viewers, my fucking chat. My viewers. Or not my viewers, my fucking chat. My viewers. Do I have not a chat? Do I not have a chat? Hold on. Did I disable it somehow? Edit. No. Okay, so I accidentally misclicked something. Apologies. Okay, apologies. I accidentally clicked. This was made for kids. How ironic. How ironic. Okay, back to it. Well, what was I saying? Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know everything about the brain and shit. But in my opinion, all this shit, mental issues, and usually has something to do with some trauma you had in your past, whether that be molestation, rape, or some other form of abuse. And this has manifested into you know, a way to feel special or a way to get out of your normal mindset. And it's like a hey, look at me kind of thing, you know.
I think it's
And
also because social media is so crazy, and some people get so lonely and introverted. And
yeah,
the only
they
people
find a
know-
community through that.
Yeah,
That's my.
it's
That
a
was my.
huge community.
I was about to get into that. Yeah, what she was saying was like people are lonely and they find a community about this, and they find a home and someone that they can talk to, but it's not really a good space for them to talk to because it's just enabling. Also, victim mentality is very, very prevalent in our society, especially on social media today, because of popularity. It garners views. It generates views. Now, that being said, if you like doing this stuff, I'm not going to stop you. I don't give a shit. If you're over the age, you obviously have bodily autonomy. You can do whatever the fuck you want. None of my goddamn business. What you do in your bedroom and what you do to yourself, I don't give a shit. As long as it doesn't affect people who are underage and not using your influence on a child or someone who's susceptible to having their mind easily swayed, like children, or mentally ill people, or you know, God forbid it happens to my children. And if it ever did, I don't know, I'd have to kill the person.
You do?
The state of California says that I have to pay for the chemical and physical castration of my son as child support.
You fucked up, boy. You living in California. California sucks wiener.
That's not where it started.
Let me watch it.
I'm not going to pay that child support. I'm not going to pay anything to hurt my son.
I wouldn't pay it either.
That means you'll be going to prison?
California is going to send me to prison for that.
If they extradite, does Texas extradite?
So, Jeff, you are going through something. You've been going through something that is probably a father's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Tell me when this started.
Started when my son was about 2 years old. My ex-wife, who's a pediatrician in Capel, Texas.
And this lady's a pediatrician too. That's fucking insane, dude, to have this person around your children like that. And she's already like doing this to her kids. Well, I couldn't imagine the fucking shit she says to other parents or other kids as a doctor, as a professional. That's crazy.
Started thinking that he might be a girl and started trying to transition him to a girl. And when I tried to put a stop to that, she filed for divorce and used her relationships with care providers to force me out of my house. And so I moved about a mile up the road from my son's.
Using her, that don't sound right, to force him out of the house. If he was on the mortgage, he couldn't be forced out of the house. He left willingly. Even if like she were to change the locks while he was at work, if he broke into his own house, it's his own fucking house. She can't do anything about that. That being said, if there was a stressful environment, which I assume there was, obviously arguments would have taken place, and she could have got a restraining order. That would be the only way that he would have been forced out of the house. Or I don't know how, like, depending, Texas, man. Texas is a father state too. Texas is one. Fuck. How'd she swing that? Texas is a father state. Being forced out of your house. I don't know, man. I don't know.
She filed for divorce formally, and I had 50-50 custody of him.
That's
and
good.
Just after his third birthday, you know, I took the first iPhone video I'd ever taken, and it was him telling me that he thought he was a girl because his mommy tells him a girl. You can go on YouTube and just search for "Mommy Says I'm a Girl." You'll find that video. She was telling him things like, you know, she would put him into timeout and say, "Don't be a boy. The monsters only eat boys," and weird things like this.
That's insane.
And she began to then socially transition him, and that led to a titanic battle in the state of Texas that culminated in me getting the procedures outlawed in Texas.
Good. Hell yeah,
And
man. That's a
the
W.
political establishment in Texas allowing her to come to California so she could still castrate him even though I got it outlawed.
That's crazy. It's a W. I mean, it sucks, man, because he won the war, but he didn't win the battle. Basically, he won the war, but he didn't win the battle. Now, if the mother, can the mother just straight up castrate her son without the son's consent? Is that a thing? I don't know.
Had your son, you have two sons.
I have two sons, James and Jude. They're twins. They're not identical. James is the one
This
that
poor
she's
guy,
transitioning.
man.
And was there any
This poor guy.
sign in James that he was open to this or showing signs that he wanted to be anything other than
Well, you know, it's interesting. So he was directly asked that by counselors and stuff. But let me just tell you about one of the fundamental facts of the case that a lot of people find shocking. James never presented as a girl with anyone but his mom. At church, with me, with his friends.
He's trying to make his
he
mother
dressed as a
happy,
boy
yeah.
and called himself James. He only presented as a girl with his mom. And I asked him one time, "Why are you doing that?" And he just flat out told me, he said, "Well, mommy doesn't love me if I'm not a girl."
Damn.
And that's what he told the counselors too. James is a very talented boxer. I'm a boxer, my dad was a boxer.
Wow.
James is extremely talented. Jude's a wrestler, but James is a very talented boxer. Olympic talent scouts were looking at him.
Wow.
He's that good. And they backed away from him once this all got started. He had
What is his mom's problem? Like, to emasculate her little boy like that? Dudes of, like, scouts were looking at him for boxing. Like, holy shit, dude. There's got to be some, like, what's the mental fucking... I'm not making the mental connections here for the mother, you know, and I'm trying to get, like, I don't even think there's, like, a benefit of doubt that could be given, you know, besides, like, saying, hey, the mom's fucking, she's a fruitcake, but I don't know.
has all boy friends. Now, he has some things that you might say are feminine. He likes art. He particularly likes painting and pastels. My son Jude likes sculpture, you know. James is also more extroverted and is willing to play with almost anybody, you know. And he will definitely play with girls. He'll play tag with girls. He'll build things with girls. He has no problem like hanging around with girls. But in terms of having a desire to be a girl, he consistently told me for 10 years that he had no desire to be a girl. He told the court-appointed counselor that he was embarrassed to wear dresses to school. He was getting too old for that and didn't want to wear a dress.
He was wearing dresses to school, too? So not only is he getting abused at home by the mother, she's forcing him to go to a school with the dresses on so he can be bullied. Like, kids are ruthless, all right? Kids are ruthless. At least when I went to school, man. You know, at least when I went to school, kids are fucking ruthless. And, yeah, just forcing him to go to school as a boy, dressed up as a girl, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
And they initiated a CPS investigation against me for forcing him to be a boy.
What?
And my first to wear dresses to school, he was getting too old for that and didn't want to wear dresses. And they initiated a CPS investigation against me for forcing him to be a boy. And my 7th CPS investigation.
This is Texas? Or was she already in California for this? forcing him to be what he already is. That's great. That's fucking insane. Bro, you know, I lived in Texas for a while, and I fucking love Texas, dude, but this shit's nutty. And I bet the government is like, I mean, CPS and all that shit, they're probably like, oh, this is like a false case, or this is like, you know, this is bullshit, you know, but they have to investigate it, so.
And do you have contact with your sons now?
No, I'm disallowed all contact with my son.
He's disallowed all contact with his sons. Like, how? How is that possible? He already had 50-50, he had 50-50 custody with her. She couldn't even, like, her upping moving from to California while they have a 50-50 agreement, that sounds sketch too. She wouldn't be allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to even contact them.
No. I'll tell you how this all sort of built up. So she started transitioning him, you know, really hardcore at 3. I mean, where she presented him to the world with a fake girl's name and everything. This, of course, would have been an important component in the divorce that was going on. So we get to 2017, and we have our divorce trial, and we had a custody evaluator. His name is Blake Mitchell. He practices out of Frisco, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. And he asked me, what is your top issue? And I said, my top issue is she's tampering with my son's gender identity. So he charges me $60,000 and does a 1-year investigation of my family, interviewing my children over and over again, everything, and determines that she was not transitioning my son to a girl. He straight up lied to the court and said that I had made a false accusation against her for saying that she was trying to transition my son to a girl. And on that basis, I lost 50-50 custody and got less than standard possession time.
There's got to be more, like, obviously there's more to the story than what he's giving. He hired some dude to fucking investigate the family. They interviewed the family and determined that the wife was not trying to transition the son or forcing the son to transition. And barring that, he told the courts saying that he made a false accusations, and that's how he lost 50-50. Dude, I mean, I feel like obviously there's something not being told. There's something not being said or told. Whether the guy interviewed the child and the child was like, no, I want this. You know, while the mother's around, you know, like, obviously the guy is not going to be able to talk to the child alone with the mother. Without the mother. Parents have to be around for that shit. So mom being in the room or being in the vicinity, you know, is going to alter what the kid's saying, pressure and whatnot. And this guy going to the courts and saying he lied, you know, that may be the case. But it could also just be like, hey, dude has to present the facts as they were given, you know what I mean? And hold out his opinion. And it's probably the mother, like, swaying the kid, like, saying, like, you need to tell this guy this, you need to tell this guy that, you know?
So I basically got, you know, 4 to 6 days a month with my sons. So that's how the divorce ended, with the psychologist just outright lying.
Oh, it's a psychologist.
Now,
okay.
I've been lucky with these
Damn. I thought it was a PI or some shit. It being a psychologist makes sense because, you know, they're all on that board. That guy's like, damn, future customer right here. I'll be having, you know, he'll be in my office laying on my fucking couch for a while. Psychologist or shrink. I think psychologist is just the fucking guy who writes the scripts. The psychiatrist is the one who does the interviewing, but whatever.
Psychologist.
All the same ballpark. They all work together.
That lie. I've been able to prove they've lied. So the court actually set aside his report. But that's what he actually told the court in his report. So she then starts really ramping up it again. And now he's wearing makeup to school. He's using the girls' restroom at his elementary school, which was Pinkerton Middle School in Coppell, Texas. I got that school shut down. That school doesn't exist anymore in Coppell.
Wow.
It's shut down. got rid of the principal there. Her name is Miss Mickelson, who's the one that really transitioned my son. And I found out after 2.5
mother and the principal
years, they had
working
been
together?
transitioning my son secretly behind my back. So I would bring my son to Pinkerton Middle School in Capel
Middle school.
in boys' clothes, because he wears boys' clothes with me, and they would give him a dress.
The kid was in middle
tell-
school.
I watched this exact video.
Oh, you did? Okay. The kid was in middle school. That's crazy.
To use the girls' bathroom. And when I found that out, I filed grievances against the public school. And of course, they exonerated themselves, saying that under their nicknames policy, they're allowed to call him whatever he wants.
Ah, horse shit.
And they're allowed to put him in dresses because he wants to wear it and it doesn't harm him in any way. And so there was just no place to go. It's virtually impossible in Texas to sue a school district because they have sovereign immunity. So this kept ramping up with my ex-wife until finally I look in the medical records with my ex-wife chose a pediatrician, Dr. Jennifer Pape, in Flower Mound, Texas, where I live. And Dr. Pape, in the medical records, it says that her and Miss Georgelis, my ex-wife, were planning on chemically castrating James at age 8 or 9.
Oh,
That's
my
plain
God.
black and white in the medical records. So obviously I start to vociferously oppose this. I try to get a new pediatrician. I have to go to court to try to get a new pediatrician. That leads her to file another lawsuit against me for sole control of James.
So they were at what age were they looking to do this?
At age 8 or 9, they were going to chemically castrate him. Yeah.
Okay, 8 or 9.
And,
He wasn't
I've
in middle
interviewed
school.
many people who have transitioned.
Yes.
And the majority of them, like I would say 98% of them, are not castrating. They're just choosing to be identified
They're just
as-
cross-dressing, yeah.
they're just-
Why would this mother, like, it's got to be some fucking, like, postpartum or shit. Why would she do that to her own child? And I wonder if she was trying to do the same thing to the other kid, but the other kid was like, no, fuck that shit, Mom. You fucking suck. I don't know, man. Like, at 8 or 9, you're trying to chemically castrate your own child. What kind of evil, sick shit is it, like, are these people, man? You know, how did she end up with fucking children? Like, obviously, this is like a mentally ill person, and they align with, you know, the alphabet gang, obviously. How the fuck she end up with kids?
basically they're cross-dressers who are saying that they're women.
Yes. We used to call it transvestitism. We don't do that anymore.
They keep changing the name.
Yeah. In my view, they've invented a kind of identity around this,
I
but
call
that
them
we can talk
trannies.
about that. But with what the pattern that you see is with boys, it's mothers transitioning prepubescent boys, and they put them on puberty blockers. And there's a simple reason that the gender doctors have to put these kids on puberty blockers. And the reason is puberty is the cure for gender dysphoria. Puberty is when you come to grips with your gender role and you either become gay or a boy, right? 98% of the time, they just become
That's when
normal
the
boys.
testosterone kicks in.
That's right.
And you become
That's right.
a boy who chases girls
That's right.
for the rest of our lives.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so they have to block puberty to extend the gender dysphoria in order to get the
I don't even think, like, the gender dysphoria happens unless it's, like, an external influence. Like, before even puberty, man, I was like, man, that girl's cute. Man, that girl's cute, you know?
them into the pipeline for the surgeries. And so there's a money pipeline with these clinics. Each child that goes on puberty blockers becomes a $4.5 million lifetime income stream for the clinics. And they're residual income streams, so that they can have hundreds of them at the same time.
That's all about money.
So they're making hundreds of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars a year off of these kids. So they block puberty to stop the cure, because puberty is the cure for gender dysphoria. And I believe puberty is actually a human right. Puberty is when you become fully human. Puberty is when your brain matures, you get a rational faculty, an adult rational faculty. It's when you come to grips with your roles and your duties in society, which is the
Wouldn't, like, blocking puberty... Isn't blocking puberty like akin to what was Hitler trying to do? Eugenics or some shit? Is that what it was called? Hold on. I can't spell. The study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable. Okay, so like if like subject A has like a perfect nose and like B has like great eyes or something, then like, you know, you want to like crossbreed that, but try to like get the right gene for that, I guess. All right, maybe not eugenics. It's got to be something. I feel like it's in the ballpark though. It's in the ballpark. Like you're fucking with biology. Like this isn't biology. This is science mixed with biology. It's the same shit. You're fucking with biology.
Marker of a mature adult person, someone who can assume those duties in a benevolent way, right? It's when your body matures, as you know, what a shame it would be for these young men. I mean, they'll never know, these young men that went on puberty will never know the grace and power the male body is capable of in its youth. They'll never know that. And what a shame to miss that. That confidence that comes from that carries on into middle age. And that's where you get entrepreneurship and the risk taking in America. It's from the physical experiences. That's why sports are important in America for men.
Oh no, he said he was a boxer.
It builds a certain kind of character. All of that stuff is what puberty is. And so I consider it a human right. It's essentially denying a child the full development of their rational faculties, their emotional faculties, and their physical faculties. And so I think it's an actual human rights violation. So anyway, this thing just like goes crazy, right? Where she's trying to transition him. They're talking about castrating him at age 8 or 9. So I immediately go full court press in Texas to get this made illegal. And it took me 6 years to do it.
Wow.
And hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money. The entire Texas Republican establishment fought me on it. They did not want to take a vote on this. And the reason for that may...
Interesting, dude. Interesting that Texas wouldn't want to do this. You know, Texas is fucking red as fuck. Texas is a red state by and by. I never would have thought they would be against this.
Surprise you. The transgender movement was started by Republicans, was not started
What?
by Democrats. Yeah, we could talk about that. The donor class of the Republican Party did not want this outlawed. That's why all these Republican governors were vetoing these bills when they would pass them, and in Arkansas and Alabama, Mississippi, and so forth. So I immediately start lobbying to do this, and I have to use grassroots organizing.
That's crazy. Hold on. I gotta look that up. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta get these kids to sleep. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Go to sleep. Time for bed. Go to sleep.
Because I can't rely on the moral conscience of the legislature because they're being paid by these donors that don't want it to be made illegal. So that's the first thing. Then we go to trial in 2019, 255th District Court under Judge Kim Cooks. The top transgender experts in the world show up in this little courtroom. Worldwide media. So I'm an Orthodox Christian. So James's story went all over Eastern Europe, even into Russia, all over the place, because these are Orthodox countries that are formally Christian countries. Their state religion is Orthodox Christianity. And they think of Texas as being in the Bible Belt. So they're like, how does this happen to an Orthodox boy in Texas? Like, it didn't make sense. So it was a story that was that had legs all over these Orthodox countries. So we had international media there. It was a circus. So I had Dr. Levine as my expert. He founded the first gender clinic in America in Johns Hopkins University in 1974.
I smoked pot with John
And
Hopkins.
after 4 years, in 1978, they shut their clinic down because their data showed that their treatments
It was John Hopkins and Sloan Kettering, and they were blazing that shit every day.
were harming patients. And we know now the data that's coming out of Children's Hospital here in LA, the data that the University of Texas at Austin, which is as liberal as Berkeley, by the way, just put out a comprehensive meta-study showing that these treatments actually harm patients. The CAS report in the UK, which is the largest systematic review ever done in any psychological discipline in the history of psychology, found it harms patients. Every meta-study and systematic review finds that these treatments don't work and they actually harm patients. So he's the one who testified for me. They had Johanna Olsen Kennedy, who at that time was running LA Children's Hospital Gender Clinic. She doesn't anymore because of a huge scandal in which she has been hiding data. She was given an NIH grant to study outcomes for children on these treatment programs, and she showed no benefit in her data for the treatment programs.
Ooh, what a
and
fucking
she chose not
surprise.
to release the data because she said it would be used by opponents of transgender medicine.
No shit.
That's the state of science in the transgender world. So she came in, I deposed her, I did a video deposition with her, and I asked her one question, and the other side dropped her as an expert. And here's the question I asked her, and
What is a
her
woman?
answer says everything you need to know about the other side of this issue. I said, what is your medical justification for amputating healthy body parts from children? She said, if they cause psychological distress, they're not healthy body parts. Opposing counsel was a woman,
That's
was in the
crazy.
room. She threw her pen on the floor and quit the case. She left. It was so disgusting. And they were not going to put her in front of a Texas jury saying that. So they dropped her.
Yep.
So I won the 2019 trial. I got 50-50 custody.
Good.
I got no child support.
Good.
But the most important thing is I got a check on all medical procedures. So she could not chemically castrate him at age 8 or 9.
Good.
Okay. By a few years later after this, I've successfully got a law passed which outlawed these procedures. You could lose your medical license for doing these things. So in that intervening 2 years,
In Texas.
in Texas, in that intervening 2 years, the judges, the liberal judges in Dallas County, Texas, got very upset that I got 50-50 custody and that James is not going to be transitioned. So they sua sponte moved my case.
Oh, hold on. I didn't hear that.
The 2 years, a few years later after this, I've successfully got a law passed which outlawed these procedures. You could lose your medical license for doing these things. So in that intervening 2 years,
In Texas.
in Texas, in that intervening 2 years, the judges, the liberal judges in Dallas County, Texas, got very upset that I got 50-50 custody and that James is not going to be transitioned. So they sua sponte moved my case from the 255th District Court into the 301st District Court with Judge Mary Brown, who I'll henceforth call Bloody Mary Brown.
Bloody Mary.
Judge
Brown.
Bloody Mary Brown never gave me 50-50 custody, never gave me a check
Oh.
on the medical procedures, and never eliminated my child support. She completely ignored the jury verdict. And over a period of about 3 years, she systematically stripped me of all parental rights.
What the fuck, dude?
And she used a technique that's very common in family court. First of all, she gave me an order that I couldn't follow. That's what they'll do. They'll give you an order that you just can't follow.
Like pay $1 million.
So I was running for office in Texas. I ran for a Texas representative in House District 63. And I was in the middle of a campaign. And she issued a gag order on me, which gave me a lifetime ban
Wow.
on doing any podcast interviews, writing any newspaper articles, doing blog posts, posting videos.
She say a lifetime
Writing.
gag?
Representative in House District 63. And I was in the middle of a campaign. And she issued a gag order on me, which gave me a lifetime ban on doing any podcast interviews, writing any newspaper articles, doing blog posts, posting videos, appearing in YouTube videos. It's a totally unconstitutional gag order.
Yeah.
It also prohibited me from talking
free
about
speech.
3 political topics. I could not talk about transgenderism, gender dysphoria, or gender expansiveness.
Bullshit.
And I was prohibited in public from telling anyone whether my son was a boy or a girl.
That judge is disgusting. That is a shitty judge. Hawk. Tuh.
Well, obviously, if you're running for office and your campaign platform is outlawing transgender surgeries on kids, you can't follow this order. And she very well knew I could not follow it. So I didn't follow it. I gave interviews. My campaign materials referenced the transgender issue and everything. So that's the first thing she did. The second thing she did is she reasoned, and this is a classic family court tactic. So I have an illegal gag order, right? She literally reasoned this way verbally in court. She said, well, there's this illegal gag order, that you say is illegal, Mr. Younger. It's prima facie illegal. But the illegal gag order was entered in the best interest of your children. So by not following the illegal gag order, you're not acting in the best interest of your children.
Crazy.
And on that basis, gave me supervised visitation. And this is a very common tactic that judges use in family court as well. And we'll get to what happened in California. It was just used on me yesterday at 9:30 Texas time. And we'll talk about that. So, and it's about free speech as well. Because they know that's what'll get you. What they try to do in family court is they try to find out what the father can't do or won't do.
You know, I actually know a family court lawyer. I wonder what they would have to say about this.
And then they construct orders which forces him to violate the orders. And then they take his kids from him. That's how it works. So I had 3 principles when I started that I said I was going to follow because, you know, I needed some kind of moral guide here. So I said, 1, I'm never going to hurt my son. They're never going to, no matter what they order, I'm never hurting my son. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm never going to morally miseducate my son. I'm never going to tell him things that are morally incorrect. I will never miseducate him in that way. And 3rd, I said I would never let my resources be used to hurt him or morally miseducate him. So those are the 3 principles way back in 2017 that I wrote down. It's in my office. You know, like I live by those principles. So they gave me supervised visitation with forensic counseling services in Dallas County. Notice that I named names. And I name names in every interview, and they've never sued me for defamation because I can prove everything I'm saying is true, and truth is an absolute defense against defamation. So forensic counseling services is run by 2 gay men. One of them is a fairly rational guy, kind of like him, nice guy. One of them, though, is a huge transgender activist. He refused to let me change my son out of address when my son came for the supervised visits. He refused to let me use my son's real name, his legal name.
That's crazy.
And he refused to let me pray with my sons in the supervised visits. And here's why he did that. Let me tell you again how family court works.
Because it's bullshit legislature and it's bullshit fucking fake ass fucking bullies, and in no way in a fucking normal, well, I say normal society. Like, this isn't civilized. This is not civilized. But no way back in the day would this shit stand. We would kick their asses. They'd get their asses fucking stomped for trying to do something like this to some guy's family. You know? We need to bring that shit back, man. We need to, like, start beating the shit out of people who think they can, like, step into a family unit and try to run it. Granted, if you're like beating your kids and beating your fucking wife, like, yeah, you deserve to get your shit kicked in. But, you know, just like government coming in and telling you what to do with your kids and how to raise them like that is fucking crazy to me. That's crazy. It's fucking...
He knew very well that my son would be embarrassed to be in a dress in front of me. And he would report that as fear, not embarrassment. And that would give the court more ammunition.
Wow.
Right? He knew that if I used James's real name, he would be forced to report that James was in boys' clothes using his boy's name and he was perfectly comfortable with it with his father. And he didn't want to report that. He wanted to report that James was uncomfortable as a boy, you see? So he could not let me be with James when he's just normal James. And finally, these psychologists have no theory. If you ask them in depositions, like, what is the empirical, theoretical basis for the judgments you put in these reports, they fully admit that they don't have any. They say that they're just making observations about the child, but you're like, wait a minute, you know, expert testimony requires a scientific basis. What's the scientific basis for this? And they admit they don't have it, but it's still admitted. Family courts will still admit this. So we got into it with him, and then I said, well, I can't do the supervised visits. So you see how they created another condition where I cannot comply with the order. You see how it works?
Yeah, they're bullying them.
So now I'm not complying with a gag
They're trying to bully them out of this shit.
order, and now I'm not complying with supervised visitation. So they let this go for 18 months, which is a special benchmark in Texas, right? 18 months with no visitation. And then my ex-wife filed to move to California, saying that I had abandoned my sons.
Damn.
Because I wasn't visiting them. The judge said, well, Mr. Younger, we were perfectly allowed to go visit your sons. There was nothing stopping you from visiting your sons, and you just haven't done it. And I tell her, well, you know, I would morally miseducate my son. I would be directly harming my son by using his girl's name and teaching him that he's a girl when he's not. And you would be forcing me to pay $500 per visit, which is what it costs, per visit. So I'd be using my resources to hurt my son.
Wow.
And I've told this court repeatedly, those three things I'm never going to do. And she said, well, I conclude that you have abandoned your sons because you had every opportunity to go visit them. This is the game they play. So Judge Bloody Mary Brown's
Fucking evil judge. That is some evil satanic shit right there, man. This guy is like fighting so hard to save his kids, and the courts and fucking bitches, man. They're goddamn evil. They're goddamn evil. I don't know.
then allowed my ex-wife to move my kids to California, since I had abandoned them in Texas, of course. Not to mention that I write them letters all the time. You know, every time they go into a new school grade, you know, I ask them to tell me what they're studying. That I'm, you know, I have a Substack, and I write letters to them online all the time. None of this stuff is even in the orders. It was not even allowed to be entered into evidence. They said it was all hearsay. It's another thing they do. They keep out some evidence. So that they can only, the judge can say, you know, on appeal, the judge say, well, this is the only facts I had available, you see.
Yeah.
This is the game that gets played. If you want to know, you know, how the corruption in the Trump trials could happen, the template was from family court. It was family court lawyers that built the template for how to do this in criminal and civil courts. Family court was the template for it. It was developed, these strategies were developed by unscrupulous law firms
All right, I'll take this with a grain of salt. This guy's not a lawyer, so, you know, I don't know.
in the late 80s and early 90s. And judges received most of their campaign donations from these law firms. And so the judges have kind of gone along with it. And now we've got, from the 90s to now, all the judicial training programs are run by those unscrupulous law firms. And so judges think this is just normal. You know, family court judges will just brag like, yeah, we violate people's constitutional rights all the time because we go with the best interests of the child.
Which
And
is
they
what
brag
the
about
court thinks.
violating.
The best interest of the child is what the court deems their best interest. It's like it's a catch-all, basically. Like, oh, I think this is the best interest of the child. Let them go live with fucking crack mom instead of like dad that can fucking take care of them. Just because she's the mother of the child, and dad is working on 9-to-5 job, and he's a straight and narrow kind of guy. But sure, let's give the mother custody of the child, and put her on fucking welfare and put her on food stamps and have the father pay child support, because you know what? That's what it is, baby. It's debt slavery. We don't have chains anymore. They're invisible. You got your debt is your slavery, and that's how they strong arm you, is with your kids. They're holding them ransom. They're holding your kids ransom. Fuck, man, it sucks. It's so shitty what they do to fucking fathers, like good fathers too. You know, it's so shitty what they do to good fathers, and it's just nuts. You know, fathers can take care of children too. You know, if not some better than others. Obviously, some have to work. You know, maybe they hire a nanny, maybe they drop them off at daycare. But some mothers just shouldn't be fucking mothers. Casey Anthony, right? Casey Anthony? Yeah. That's one point right there. So it's fucking
Parents' constitutional rights. And they hated me for making constitutional rights arguments, because the great fear of all family courts is that one day some father's going to make it into federal court. And they're going to have to rule that these gag orders are unconstitutional, that these supervised visitations are unconstitutional. Because honestly, if there hasn't been a criminal adjudication that a parent is unfit or unwilling to parent, then there's no basis for the court to interfere in the parent-child relationship. There is no 14th Amendment basis to do it. So the federal courts, I've been up to federal court many times trying to get in the federal court. I know many fathers do as well. There's an actual rule promulgated by the Supreme Court, and every Chief Justice since 1988 has reaffirmed the rule. And it just says we're not taking any cases out of family court. It's called the Domestic Relations Exception Rule. They just say we're not taking any cases out of family court. It doesn't matter if it implicates your constitutional rights, doesn't matter if it violates the civil rights statutes, doesn't matter. We're not taking anything out. Any cases from family court. And so they all just get dismissed. They never get heard. And that's what's happened to me repeatedly.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
What has this done to you emotionally?
Obviously it's hurt them. You know, obviously. So, you know, a lot of men don't show emotions. You know, they bottle that shit up, which I think more should. I think more should, the stoicism. What's the Tony Soprano quote? Hold on. I don't know. But anyways, he's like, what happened to the strong silent type?
Best way to describe that. So imagine you have children. And imagine, like me, you had children late in life. These are the only kids you're ever going to have. 2 boys, and you're really close with them.
You got some evil bitch trying to ruin them.
You're really, really close with them, to the point where they can almost read your mind, and you can almost read their mind. You know, it was something that my current wife would always remark on, that we would, all 3 of us, just get up and go do things, and we didn't talk about it. We all knew. Like, somehow we were just that close. So imagine you have kids that you're that close with, and you're put in a chair, and a judge brings your children into the room and initially threatens to sexually mutilate them, to castrate them.
And there's nothing you can do.
And begins
man.
to teach them all kinds of things that are completely against your ethical beliefs, totally
And there's
against your ethical
nothing you can
beliefs.
do.
And the children are punished harshly if they don't assent to these crazy things. And imagine eventually they chemically castrate your kids, and you got to sit there, and the judge and a police officer are watching you intently. And if at any time you show anger, or you stand up, or you gesture in a strong way, they're going to conclude that you are a domestic abuser. And they're going to arrest you
That
and put you in jail
sucks, dude.
for domestic abuse. So you have to sit there and remain totally calm in the slow motion sexual abuse of your child. That's what it's like. That's what it's been like for me.
It's horrifying.
I see the end result that's coming, and if I am too masculine in my response, they're going to say, you're abusive, they tried so hard with my sons, the counselors, court-appointed counselors. They tried for years with my sons. They're like, isn't Mr. Younger an authoritarian parent? They ask leading questions like that of my sons. It's in the records. Isn't Mr. Younger an authoritarian? Doesn't he tell you what to do all the time? And of course, I'm just the opposite. My sons were like, no, Dad doesn't have any rules. They're like, what? No rules in the house? Like, I don't have rules. No. Dad just tells us to be reasonable with people. And if we're reasonable with people, we don't have to have rules. He did have to make one rule. I remember James saying, Dad did have to make one rule. We broke 2 iPads, so now we have to keep our iPads on tables. They can't be on the floor. But that's the only rule we have. And so they could never pin that on me. But that's another strategy, is they weaponize masculinity, right? So I had to reteach myself.
Welcome to 2025. Well, shit, this is what, 2020? I don't know. When did all this shit take place? I know this is like the aftermath of it. Punishing masculinity, that shit's... It's been popping off for a while. Shit, even since the 70s, like men were dressing up androgynous up on stage and acting and performing music. Aerosmith. Shit, even Kurt Cobain was like dressing up in dresses and shit. But Kurt was a fucking weirdo too. So are all those guys. Great music. I love the music, but I can separate art from the weirdo. And there's plenty of them that are artistic and fucking weird. Yeah, man, like, we need masculine men, like, all the time. We have to raise our kids, our boys, our sons to be masculine. Because that's the person who's going to protect you. That's the person who's going to fight for you, for their woman, for their family. If you have some twink, some fucking sissy boy, right? You got some sissy boy. They're not going to know what to fucking do. Let's say a war pops off and people start getting shipped off. You know what I mean? Not all of them are going to make it to Canada and Mexico. I don't know what you're going to think. There's going to be a lot of young men being sent off, and they're going to find out real fucking quick. Our military today is the boot camp's pussified. Shit, even when I went through it. But now that, ever since I've been out in these last few years, they've just been crazy with the rules and shit. I mean, rules are good. Rules create structure. But rules for, stop you. They have, cards that they hold up. If a drill sergeant's in your fucking face, knife handing you, they got stress cards to hold up. What kind of pussy shit is that? There's a scene in Jarhead. If you haven't watched that, it's got Jake Gyllenhaal. And he's he's drawing on a board, and the drill sergeant's slapping him in the back of the fucking head. He's like, I can't concentrate with you hitting me in my head. I can't draw it. He's like, He's like, you can't concentrate with me giving you a few love taps. What are you going to do when grenades are going off in your fucking face? And that's pretty much it, man. Like, you can't raise these fucking kids. You can't raise them to be pussies. You can't raise them to be, like, they have to be, they got to be hard, man. And I know it's a cliche. We're in the soft times right now, and the soft times are creating soft men, and we're going to have some hard times, and the hard times are going to create hard men. You know, I think a lot of these, I don't know, man. We're going to move on. I can rant all day about that shit.
How to talk in court. I talk like a woman in court. I literally got female attorneys and emulated them, learned how to talk like them. Because the masculine way that a boxer like me relates to another boxer, you're not only going to lose your kids, they're going to put you under a domestic violence restraining order. And you're going to lose your passport, you're going to lose your licensure in the state. If you're a stockbroker, you're going to lose your license. You can't possess a firearm, lifetime. Yeah. Can't possess a firearm. They're going to do that to you if you're too masculine. So I had to retrain all that. So not only imagine you're watching your kid being sexually abused, but now you got to start acting like a woman and be very passive because it could get.
There's a difference between passive and stoic, right? You don't have to be passive. You can be stoic and then assert yourself confidently in court or confidently to other people. You don't have to be passive. Passive, be like, oh, I guess that's okay. Or, you know, talk. Like he's saying, talking like a woman. You could just not fucking talk at all and then get straight to the fucking facts. That would be stoic. Speaking without emotion, speaking logically and without emotion. So
Get much worse for your kid, actually. They could remove you in such a way that they could give you.
Yo, Cracky Reads, what's going on? Yeah, stoic is like being a lion, kind of. You save your energy for when you need it. Yeah, exactly.
You a lifetime restraining order, and you can
doing,
never contact your kids again for the rest of their lives.
So there's a chance you might be going to prison for this, right?
Yeah, I could tell you that I'm definitely going to be going to prison because
He's not paying child support.
The current position of the law is that I have to pay for the chemical and physical castration of my son as medical child support. And I told you the three principles. We've gone through that. I'm never going to hurt my son. I'm not going to let my resources be used to hurt my son. So I'm just not going to pay that child support. I'm not doing it.
And that's a good way to that's a way to protest. You know, you're protesting. They're going to garnish his wages regardless. Like whatever's in his fucking bank account. Like this dude already said he's paid hundreds of thousands of dollars like in court fees and shilled out $60,000 for a psychiatrist and shit. They're going to garnish his wages. Those wages, like that's the court's going to take his money and they're going to they're just going to take it. He's got to pay back pay for whenever the divorce happened and all that shit. I know because I have to pay child support and I had to pay back pay as well. And they garnish my wages currently. Whenever you pay child support and you're working, they automatically take it out of your paycheck. The government automatically does that. And so does your employer does it too. But they're going to garnish his wages. So whatever money he has that's put away, if it's not, the only way that he could probably get away with it is if he's has a new marriage. He is currently, if he has a new wife and she has a separate bank account with all the money in there and he gave it to her as a gift, that would be one way. Or if it was in, like, say, a parent, this gentleman is fairly old, so I doubt he's giving it. I doubt he has a parent to give it to. If he does, then, you know, whatever. Good for him. But they're going to take that fucking money and they're going to, there's just nothing you can do. It's extortion. It's extortion. And in America, we're not supposed to have a debtor's prison. Well, guess what fucking child support is? It's debtor's prison. Not only do they put you in prison for not paying child support, they also will take away your driver's license, stopping you for, like, let's say you lost your job, you're on hard times trying to find a new job, right? And you can't pay child support. Well, guess what, buddy? You missed a month of child support. Now you got to go to fucking court and explain to a judge. Now guess what? Judge doesn't like you and says you're a piece of shit or a deadbeat. Now they're taking your driver's license And now you can't drive around and get a job. Now you have to figure out a way to fucking work the bus system or get a bicycle, or have someone drive you to work until you can pay that money back. It's counterintuitive and it fucking sucks. I fucking disdain child support. I think it's okay for people who are deadbeats or pieces of shit, but you should put them in a work program that keeps them working, and give them more resources if they need a job or if they have money issues, right? But for someone who's like always paying, someone like me who pays their shit up, and let's say I come on a hard time, right? Let's say I lose my job next month, or let's say I lose my job tomorrow. I live month to month. Okay, I live month to month. If I were to lose my job, I would have to I'd have to figure something out quickly, or I'd have to go back to fucking Timbuktu and go to fucking court with fucking backwater judges, and it's just insane, dude. I think state always sucks. State does suck. State sucks wiener. Government sucks. State sucks. Anything that has to do with like separation. Give me the separation between family and government. That's what I want.
And eventually, I'll be prosecuted for it, and in California, I can get up to 2 years in slammer.
2 years.
So that's the kind of pressure and emotional boiler, is the way I would describe it, that you're under. It's pretty intense, and when I'm arguing in court, and I gave up using lawyers years ago.
Yeah, I want that too. The family is the most important unit. 100%. That's the downfall of America right now. There's so many countries, right? I think Japan's going through it right now. Like, they're just not having kids. They're not having children. And even like the younger generation now, I don't ever hear of like Gen Zers or alphas like saying they want kids or anything like that. And it's gonna catch up. It's gonna catch up. There's gonna be issues later on down the line if these newer generations aren't having kids. And it's
Going down anyway.
say what?
The testosterone's going down anyway.
Yeah.
We have a problem again.
Yeah. It's family is very important. Family is very important. And being able to support your family, and like me and my ex-wife have a decent relationship now, and I see my son whenever I can. We live pretty far away, but I give him every opportunity that I can, and I go the extra mile. I don't only pay child support, like I pay for school stuff, trips, extracurricular activities. Like whenever he comes here and visits me, like I'm paying for jiu-jitsu, I'm paying for all kinds of shit. It's you go the extra mile for your kids, and I think that I think it's lost on Americans nowadays. You got fathers not being in the home. You got courts ruling in favor with a mother who's obviously has drug problems, and giving the children to the mother, and just letting them live in like shitty environments. It's kangaroo. It's kangaroo court.
Because the bar is a cartel, and members of the bar are never going to challenge judges on these fundamental rights issues. That's why one of the reasons we never get really rights issues heard is lawyers won't make them. They won't make them to judges because it's challenging the judge. So I went pro se a long time ago, and I've been much more effective pro se, but I have to sit there and
So
make...
you're representing yourself?
Oh yeah, I've been doing that for 7 years, yeah. And I've beat some of the top law firms in America. I mean, I don't think it's that hard to be pro se. The biggest problem you have as pro se is the judges are supposed to give you more leeway as pro se. Like, if you make a mistake, they're supposed to say, hey, did you mean to do this, or can we do it this way? They're allowed to do that with pro se. They're not allowed to do that with a bar attorney. But in practice, what actually happens is they never tell you your mistakes. In fact, they try to trick you.
Right.
And family court judges in particular.
Of course, they're gonna try to trick you. It's like it's what you can get over on the person you're trying to win a case. It is what it is.
Are notorious for getting parents to voluntarily waive all of their constitutional rights. So I'll give you an example of that in Texas. So judge entered this order for supervised visitation and all this, and she very politely
Oh, is
said,
that their profile picture?
Yeah.
Hey, Cracky Reads, check it out. My wife said to show it to you. I don't know what it is.
It's Shin Chan.
Chin Chan.
You fucking.
And now he's moving. God damn it, Chin Chan.
Shin Chan.
I broke Chin Chan. Oh my god, he fell apart.
What did you do to him?
I dropped Chin Chan. He fell apart.
You broke my boy. Did his ears fall
His
off?
ears fell off too. He's gone. He's dead.
I can't believe you did this to my boy.
Here, take your boy. You gotta fix him. His hair's falling off.
Oh my god, you.
Oh my shit. His eyebrows came off.
What'd you
Why are you wheezing over there?
What'd you do to
Are these
him?
interchangeable?
No! You just broke him.
Nah, you put it back together. I believe in you. I'm sorry. Here's the rest of them. He looks crazy without a face. It looks like something out of like. Here,
He wouldn't even be able to work.
he can work. Here you go. Sorry. Ooh. All right.
Hater.
Fucking Shin Chan.
says,
Chin
you know,
Chan,
Mr. Younger,
Chin
I
Chong."
really think we can, if you go to these supervised visits, we can get this order removed and all this stuff. And it's all lies. Judges are just actors. And she says, you know, so are you prepared to sign the order now? And I said, well, Judge, I'm not going to sign the order. And she said, Mr. Younger, this is a court of law, and this is an order from the court. And I said, well, then you need to sign it. It's your order. What she's trying to trick me into doing was signing approval of the order. Now I can't appeal it, and I've voluntarily given her jurisdiction over all the matters
Damn.
listed. Okay, that's one of the
Trying to
tricks they
trick 'em.
do. So she said, well, I mean, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have another hearing. I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll agree that it has the form of a judicial order. I'll agree to the form of the order, but I don't agree to any of the content. So I sent us the form, but not the content. And she was forced to just put it out there without my signature. Most parents will sign those documents. Most lawyers who are representing parents will sign the document. And if your lawyer signs the document, you assented to it.
Yeah.
So actually, most of the things that happen in family court that violate
your lawyer
parents'
represents
rights, parents are tricked into giving up their rights. And I never did that, and that's what drove them crazy. And that's why they eventually had to let my son move out of Texas.
What a nightmare for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Did James show any signs of wanting to be a female around you?
Never. In fact, I had a dress at home in his closet. And I taught him mathematics through woodworking and stuff, so we built their beds and everything, and so they had their own room, and the furniture was all custom.
That's
stuff.
crazy.
And they had
This guy seems like a really good father. Puts his kids through boxing, teaches them woodworking and mathematics through woodworking, helps them build their own beds. These are skills that they can use as adults. Like actual skills. Not the bullshit that I do, which I just fucking like program and shit. These are, skills give you self-confidence forever, yeah. Like what I do is kind of bullshit. Like I can only use this, if there's internet and power and all that shit. What if all that shit fails? You know what I mean? I know. I can work on cars a little bit. I can fish. Fuck. I could probably build something, but it ain't gonna be like structurally sound. But these are skills that will give his kids confidence. Will give them. I don't know. It's like it's a good bonding experience with the father as well, and the mother's just fucking
they
it
tricked
all
out
up,
the
dude.
closet with how they hang their stuff up and all that.
This makes me
And,
sad.
he had a dress in.
I feel so terrible for this man. Like and he's taking it on the chin. I mean, like I said earlier, like he won the war. He didn't win the battle, and it fucking sucks. Because the battle is what you wanted to win. Like the war, who gives a fuck? You know, that's someone else's kid. But this is your child. You went through all this, and you got these laws put into place in Texas where it bans like chemical castration and shit. But now this is happening to your immediate family. It's altruistic and cool that you did it for, like, you got these in place for other children and other families. But that's not the fight that you wanted to win. It's the long term for others, but it's not for you.
And I said, look, if you want to experiment wearing a dress, you can do that here in the house. It's not a problem. You can do it anytime you want. A few weeks go by, and I hear this noise. I get up. I'm on.
He's a lot more lenient than I would. My kid comes home with a dress and be like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing? Who did this to you?
I have a bed. My master bedroom's on the downstairs floor. I get up, and James is going back up. The light goes off, and he threw the dress away in the middle of the night when he thought I wasn't looking. So I never saw any of these things. And even when I would go to, and I have tons of video of this, you know, I'll go to pick my son up for my visitation periods from my ex-wife's house. He comes out of her house in boys' clothes.
I mean, you could argue that he's doing that just to please his dad.
Yeah, definitely. But what it shows is he's comfortable in boys' clothes at his mom's house and his dad's house.
Do you think the mom kind of brainwashed him into thinking this was something that was
There's no
acceptable?
question in my mind about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
seems like.
Yeah. I mean, when I told you, when I asked him that question, why do you do this? And he says, Mommy doesn't love me if I'm not a girl.
That's brainwashing right there. That is like manipulation of your child. Mommy doesn't love me if I'm not a girl. That's crazy. God,
That's why he
man,
did it. That's why he did it, you know. And you know,
fucking
I have had a
clown
lot
world,
of
dude. Live in clown
so-called
world.
gender experts, you know, because I've had
Gender
just in my
experts.
California trial recently, you know, they put an expert on the stand that I destroyed, a top transgender doctor from Children's Hospital here. Destroyed this woman. So I talk to them all the time, and they say, well, gender is
Yeah, it's
innate and
messed up,
immutable.
for sure, dude.
It's something that you're born with. It's innate and immutable. And so I just go, well, if it's innate and immutable, then how could there possibly be detransitioners? How could that even be possible? They'll say things like, people know their gender identity from an early age. How is that when there's no sexual identity that you have until you go through puberty, early stages of puberty? How is that possible? Like, it contravenes everything we know about child development from before. So in this regard, I'm somewhat different than a lot of the people that oppose this child transgender stuff. I think actually you learn to be a man and a woman. I think there's a set of potentialities.
That's true. You can learn to be a man. You can learn to be a woman. It's easier to learn to be a man as a child, right? It's easier to learn to be a man as a child. Your son will emulate the father. The daughter will emulate the mother in most cases. Then you have your like tomboys and stuff. But usually, as they get older, they fall into a more motherly role or a more motherly role. You can learn to be a man later on in life if you did not have a proper father figure. And there's ways to do that, military, stuff like that. Yeah, tomboys are still very feminine. No, I agree. My wife's a tomboy. Was a tomboy. Is a tomboy. Are you a tomboy?
Sure.
Yeah, she's a tomboy.
I used to be a huge tomboy.
Yeah, she used to be a huge tomboy. But, it's there's a difference between like a tomboy and then like a fucking, a butch, a butch lesbian. Those are not one and the same at all. But what was I saying? Yeah, so these are learned behaviors, and there is a multitude of outcomes that can happen. My father, great father, great dad, right? He worked a lot though. He worked nights, so he slept most days. he taught, not too much. He didn't like teach me how to work on engines. He didn't teach me how to fight. He didn't teach me any of that stuff. But my mother had remarried twice. One was my first stepfather, Ben, and he was very smart guy, but drug issues and everything. But he was more philosophical, and he taught me about different stories from Greek mythology, how to read stars, how to navigate through the woods if I'm lost, or how to identify certain plants, flora and fauna and stuff like that. He was very like naturey. And then her second husband, Danny, he's a good dude too. He was also in the military as well. He taught me more artsy stuff too. He was a great drawer, but how to work with my hands and stuff like that. He's a woodworker, and he worked with wood and all that shit. And a lot of the stuff I learned was from military. And growing up in a small town, I had other like male role models as well, from working on cars in school, or being a lineman, like going to like the college and like learning how to be a lineman and stuff. And then just interests that I had from martial arts and stuff like that I put myself into. Military was a very big influence on my life, and I'm super glad I did that, because it changed my life around. My dad wasn't around, but I lived with my grandfather for a bit. He taught me a lot. See, that's good. It doesn't have to be a father. It could be, someone who's taken on that father role, or a guidant role. It doesn't even have to be a father role. It can be a teacher, a mentor. My neighbor, Carl, great dude, does volunteer work. He actually helps kids who don't have fathers, who need a guiding hand, and he takes in, like, volunteer work and stuff, helping single mothers with their yards, and he does this all in charity. He actually started a non-profit. Dude's a cop too, he's a good dude. My grandfather served in World War II as a POW translator. He was from Sicily. Really? I think my family's from Sicily, or he was going to be a paratrooper, but he broke his leg on the practice jump. Damn. Yeah, I'd break my leg too. I'd break my fucking leg too. Damn, brother. Yeah, so yeah, like originally, my last name changed. It was Santucci. It's now Ferrantino, but someone said that Santucci was from like Sicily, like it was a Sicily name or something. I don't know. But moving on.
Like a male child is going to have higher testosterone levels, and there are different potential.
Yeah, most immigrants are from Sicily. Okay, I wonder if I could trace back. My grandfather died whenever my dad was like 9. He was like mobbed up, and he like changed our name because he was on the run. But he died in prison, and like I just don't know anything. I don't know anything about. I know his name, and Santucci. Who knows if that's his real name? Because like I said, he changed it. He could have changed it again, But very hard to find.
Potential behaviors from a child that has less testosterone, like a female child. But basically, you learn to be a man.
You might be able to find some distant relatives that know more. Maybe. Like, I think the whole family on my dad's side is pretty much, like, wiped. The only person that knew a lot was my Aunt Vicky, and she died of cancer not too long ago.
Mainly from other men. and this used to not be very controversial. You know, if you look at the whole history of child rearing in the Western world, and even I know quite a bit about the Eastern world, it's very similar there. Children typically were raised by their mothers until they were 9 to 12. And that's actually the origin of why Italians were kind of considered mama's boys, because they stayed in the home till they were 12. When Germans, you know, left their mother's home at 9, you know, so they're like, well, look at those Italians, they stay with their mom.
Me
You
a
know?
mama's boy.
But basically, men raised older children who were boys, and women raised young children and girls. That's how the world has worked forever, right? You learn to be a man from other men, and it's not innate. And I think the prison studies show this on even sexuality, I think. Sexuality's fluid. Like, these things are not like identities. And that's really, if I had to put my finger on
Put your finger in it.
like where this crazy stuff came from, is there was a
Goddamn communism.
in the
That's where it
middle
came
part
from.
of the 20th century, but it started before that, goes back to the late 1800s. There was a radical redefinition of the human person.
All right, what do you say?
So-
Sorry. I'm memeing.
In the middle part of the 20th century,
In Japan, little boys talk to their mother until they learn how to speak like a guy from older dudes. Oh, talk like their mother until they learn how to speak like a guy from older dudes. Really?
but it started before that, goes back to the late 1800s. There was a radical redefinition of the human person. So what's happening in America is not really a conflict over transgender rights or left versus right, or social construction theories in psychology versus innate views of the innate person. It's not that. That's not.
I think it's all the deterioration of the home unit. That's what I think, of like the family unit. I think the conflict is individualist versus collectivist. Could be, yeah. I'm very individualist, but I think as for my family, that'd be considered collective, right? Or do you count a family as individuals, like a whole family as an individual? I don't know.
That's what's happening. What's happening is we have two large groups in America that just don't agree on what a human person is. And so when I say he's my child,
I think that's still an individualist, like private versus public. Your family's private. Yeah.
the word child, they don't mean the same thing when they say child. And let me give you an example of this. So there's a really good book by a guy named Truman. It's called The Rise and Triumph of the Expressive Self, which chronicles this change. And, if you were to ask my grandfather, he was a farmer, and he literally could outwork. 2 weeks before he died, he literally outworked me.
Wow.
On the farm. He could literally outwork me to the day he died. Tough guy. And
They
if
were
you would
built
ask
different.
him, like, does farming fulfill you? Are you self-fulfilled as a farmer? You probably would have spent 4 hours trying to explain the question, because those categories don't go in his.
I want you to think like he's thinking like that's just a way of living. Probably what his grandfather is like. Did that fulfill me? Hard work, man. I'm telling you, I have never had a day where I just felt so fulfilled after like a hard day's work. Like what I do now, like I said, I program on the computer. I feel fulfilled whenever I release a game, because that's a creative expression. Whenever I'm working for somebody else, I don't really feel that. The only time I do feel something like that is whenever I'm putting in sweat from my brow. I'm putting in like I'm doing something physical. That's whenever you have like a hard day's work is it's a very proud thing, a very prideful thing, in my opinion.
His mind don't go together. Farming was the way he raised his kids and sent his kids to school, and he did the hard physical labor, and now his kids can do white collar labor. He did that by farming.
Right, and that is his sweat and perseverance through that hard work gave his family a better life. That is a that is something to be proud of. And now his sons can live a white-collar life because of that. I'm a translator, and I feel good turning in a translation. Oh, so you followed in your grandfather's footsteps. That's cool. What languages do you speak?
You know, it wasn't something he liked to do. It didn't even occur to him that whether he would like it or not. He just had to do it, right? That you can.
Japanese to English? I know very little. Very little. I can do introductory. I can pick things out in like a conversation. Like if I hear certain words, I can kind of pick it out. Same thing for Cantonese. My wife speaks Cantonese, and like she taught me a little bit, but now like whenever her and her mom are having conversations in Canto, I can like kind of pick something out, and she'll say something, and I'll be like, "You talking shit?" She'll be talking about me in Canto to her mother. She ain't paying attention. Nice. Yeah, I know. Hajime mashite, watashi wa Brandon desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. I know that one. All right, and then I know like just little phrases and shit. Yamate, stuff like that.
See, it's pretty easy for people to see there's been a different change in the way we think about work. People can see that. It's harder to see how this idea of the person changed, but you can see it very clearly with sexual identity. So you ask a Christian like me about sexual identity, and I'm going to say, I don't even know what that is. Sexuality is a behavior. And you're in control of your behaviors. So I don't know what you mean by a sexual identity. It doesn't even to me, it doesn't even make sense, right? And to a large portion of America, it doesn't make sense, right? So when people talk about sexuality, they're really not talking about the same thing. Then on the other side, if I steel man the other side will say, well, no, sexuality is innate and immutable. And who you're attracted to is innate and immutable. So it's a status, not a behavior. And we don't agree on that in this country, right? Similarly with transgenderism, this idea of a gender identity. Well, I think of gender identity as something you learn, behaviors and duties that you learn from your father, and you carry on.
I feel like I have to disagree maybe. I don't know. I feel like, yes, you can control your behavior, right? Not everyone can, but you can learn to control your behavior, but you can't control what you're attracted to, if that makes sense. Like, if you like dudes, you can't control, like, not liking dudes to, like, marry a woman, because it's not going to be, you're not going to have a happy life. But then again, who said you're supposed to be happy? Who said you're supposed to be happy? Happiness is not important.
Onto your children, and it has to be taught. If it has to be taught, how could it be innate
Happiness
and immutable?
is not important.
How could the gender
That's
expression?
what Ragnar says.
Good to know.
Who says you're supposed to be happy?
Of males be different across cultures if it was innate, biologically innate. That doesn't even make sense, right? To me. Now, let's steel man the other side, and here's what I think goes on in the mind of these people that want to transition their kids, especially boys. They go, well, here's this child, and I believe that sexual identity is the center point of human identity. It's the starting point of almost all aspects of human identity. And I've had a lot of people who are on the right with me who say, why would anyone believe that? And I'm like, well, imagine you have a view that's completely conditioned by the theory of evolution, for example. The theory of evolution is the theory of sexual selection. So your sexuality is the primary mover of all human progress and advancement. It makes perfect sense, actually, when you think about it like that. So sexuality is this center pivot point at which all other parts of your identity move around. So now you look at a child who maybe is struggling in school or something, and you go, well, this child has no sexual identity. They're prepubescent. Sexual identity doesn't develop until the early part of puberty. So when they look at a child, they see a child with no identity because there's no sexual identity. So they give the child one. They give the child a sexual identity by which they can express themselves. And they use that language. When you listen to them, this is the language they use. I want to give my child an identity so they can express themselves and experiment with who they really are. This is the language that they use.
Interesting.
The idea of experimenting with your identity. And you see that contradicts innate and immutable too. That doesn't work either. But that's the strongest way I can show this change in human thinking about it. Even on sexuality and gender,
That's why people call teachers.
half the
stupid now,
country
yeah.
thinks it's a behavior, and half the country thinks it's an innate.
And teachers need to stay the fuck out of that shit too. Like you're there to teach. You're there to teach math, social studies, and shit like that. Stay out of the family unit. You know, unless the kid's coming to school with like bruises and shit, or getting beat on, or having issues, you need to stay the fuck out. Stay the fuck out of it. Teacher shouldn't be telling my kid that, you know, it's okay to wear dresses, it's okay for this, it's okay for that. Like you didn't want Jesus in the fucking school. You didn't want the church in the school. Keep that shit out of school too. Right? You're trying to teach the instability, or you're trying to teach a structure, right? You're trying to in their mind's eye, probably they're trying to teach a structure for the kids so they can cope with themselves and express themselves, as they say. But adversely, if you were to introduce like the church or military or anything like that, now you're bringing in a more rigid structure so the person can follow a set of rules and be okay with themselves and get some morals as they're growing up or as they're young. And they didn't want that either. So I don't know. I said just keep it fucking separate. Yeah, they're going the other way, though. They're trying to expand teachers doing mental health stuff. Fuck that shit. Fuck that. Unless they're getting paid. I mean, like, they better be having some extra schooling for that. Now, I'm talking, like, actual degrees.
An immutable biological trait. And so there's no way for us to have a rational discussion about this unless we understand how we're using the same words for different concepts. So we're talking past one another. And when I'm in court, I'm very adept at explaining that to judges and showing that what these transgender doctors are saying is incoherent with our entire knowledge of child development in the past. So the transgender issue isn't really just it's not just some child policy issue or some crazy liberals, as a lot of conservatives, it's just crazy liberals and all. It's not that. It's much more fundamental than that. We have become so decadent, and I don't mean like debauched. I mean in the Latin sense, decadenced. We have become so out of step with one another that we don't even agree on what a human person is, and we can't raise our children the same way. And that's how bad it's become. And I think the future is going to look, and I recognize it's going to go into YouTube, so I have to be careful how I say this. The future is going to look something like this. If we're going to stay together and we're going to pursue a national identity together, these two groups that don't agree on fundamental things, they don't agree on the good life, they don't agree even on what a human person is, we're probably going to have to go back to a radical federalist idea in this country, where we just go, okay, California is going to chemically castrate kids, and in Texas, you'll get the death penalty for it.
Okay.
And we're just going to have to accept that California and Texas we don't have to live the same kind of lives.
Unless it goes federal.
But the transgender issue is the fissure point. It's the issue which defines all of the other differences. It's the one that shows most clearly, because people either assent to it or they don't, and there's no in between. So it's a bellwether issue for the country, and we should pay close attention to it, I think, because of that. Yeah.
Mm. So your sons are how old now?
They're 12, almost 13.
And has James done any hormone therapy or any kind of?
So she doesn't have to notify me, but she filed in court in California to put him on puberty blockers. So I'm pretty sure he's on puberty blockers.
Son of a bitch.
And I should probably tell you how he got to California. So Judge Bloody Mary Brown, 301st District Court, Dallas, Texas, issues this order which allows her to move my son to California. I actually seek emergency mandamus relief from the Texas Supreme Court. And I went up there with Justice Young and Justice Blacklock, who were leading the court's analysis of my case. Justice Blacklock, rather absurdly, and this is under the influence of the donors, said that my son was no more likely to be chemically castrated in California than in Texas, which is just the stupidest thing you could ever say. It's illegal in Texas and it's required in California. It's a required medical treatment in California that 12-year-olds can consent to, by the way, in California. So he made that up. He made that up. And about 6 months after he issued that ruling, the governor of Texas promoted him to Chief Justice.
Jesus.
And what happened was I created so much mayhem in Texas to get that law passed and outlawing this stuff in Texas that the Republicans in Texas said, we just want this case to move out of the state so it's not a political problem anymore. They wanted it to move to California. And so, and that's what they're telling all the constituents now. Well, that Jeff Younger case is in California, it's not in Texas, there's nothing we can do about it anymore. Yeah. That's how the world really works. The world, we think of the courts as these august institutions with men who, study old books.
Yeah, it's bullshit. They just pass it on. Like, they start losing in one state, so they're like, fuck it, we don't want to do this anymore, and they pass it on to a state that's more lenient on shit, so they win.
Books, and they apply, common sense and wisdom, and that's not. No, it's highly political. Everything that goes to the courts is highly political. So, it's my intention to go after Justice Blacklock, Chief Justice Blacklock in the Supreme Court, and remove him from office. And I'll be working very hard to do that over the next.
I wonder what Beckett's opinion on this is. He's got a degree in political science. I wonder what he would say about some of this shit.
Next 5 years.
What does this mean for you legally? Are there repercussions for you?
Yeah. So what happened was the case got moved to LA County. And I wound up in Department 63 under Judge Mark Uhas. And right from the very beginning, some very strange things happened in this.
Even Chud. I wonder what Chud would say, too. Like, I'm sure we have... he seems more on the left than I am when it comes to stuff like this. We would probably disagree fundamentally on some of this stuff. I'm more of like a man's man, you know what I mean? I'm more of like a traditional household, traditional family, and how to raise kids and shit, Curious on some of my peers or colleagues' opinions on this
case. So I had a federal case going on. And it was just to seek declaratory relief to relieve me of the unconstitutional gag order. There was a mistake made. You know the MoFo law firm? Morris Forster? They are the most powerful law firm in California. They represent Google, Facebook, all those people. That's the law firm I was facing. Their retainers are astronomical. So I've always known that my wife was getting help from somewhere, but because it's so much money, like how can she afford...
Yeah, Chud's still unaware of some stuff that's going on, but he's cool. Yeah.
The retainers on the lawyers in Texas, the law firm is Coons Fuller, their minimum retainer.
I just know Chud's got just from hearsay, Chud's got like a background from like he was chasing trannies, wasn't he? Or is that just hearsay? Like, I keep getting like, that's what the whole fucking, I'm making this game gawk bound, and that's the whole joke, right? Is that a bit? Okay, I don't know if that's a bit or what. Okay, people are telling me, and like people tell me in the Discord that it's true, but it's fucking Discord. I just don't want to take like the community's word for it on that one. So He neither confirmed nor denied it. I don't think I like outrightly asked either. I don't know if I'd want to. He'd probably fucking get pissed. So I'm supposed to have a call with Beckett. I was supposed to have one yesterday. He fucking ended up passing out on me. Maybe sometime this week he'll have a call with me. He's supposed to lore dump. He's supposed to give me like a lore dump on all this shit so I can make this game properly. Because I want to add in like the jokes and shit about the community. I know nothing about. I know about obviously Pirate Software, Destiny, and that's pretty much it. And Hassan as well. Fucking hate them. Okay. Destiny, not too much. I don't know too much about his scandals and stuff. I've seen a few of his videos, more so like I guess like a counter to what I normally agree on, because he has a different opinion than mine. I don't like listening to just like one side. I want to hear other sides and like their explanations for things. So I'll watch people like him and some others to kind of hear what to kind of hear like counterpoints, you know. But
Retainer is $175,000 minimum, and they triple that going to trial. Like, so she's spending $500,000 every time she sues me, and she sued me over and I've been in a continuous lawsuit for 11 years. So imagine she spent millions of dollars. Where's this money coming from? Well, I learned this in the federal lawsuit. Once I had moved to California, I filed in the Central District with
coming
the federal
from you,
court
buddy,
to get
you
rid
got
of
to
this
pay the
gag
court
order.
costs.
And the MoFo lawyer, MoFo is Morse for, so that's actually their website, mofo.com.
I do that too, but Hassan is a propagandist. That's what he says, anyways. I hate Hassan. I can't stand him. I can't stand Hassan. I would fight him IRL if I had the chance and he wanted to fight mutually. I wouldn't just assault somebody, but yeah, he says that himself. Yeah, I seen that clip. He's afraid to fight Sam Hyde. Yeah, I made a oh shit, hold on. I'll show you real quick. I made this a while ago. This is like whenever the creator clash was going on. I made a little short. Fuck, where's it at? There you go. It's Hassan Piker, You Can't Hide.
I want to call out in the heavyweight division.
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that, Hassan Piker! I'm coming to kill you! In Los Angeles, at your house!
Or in the ring.
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him and become obsessed with him. And wear his makeup, and his dresses, and use his skin as a coat, like the ancient Irish did.
Well, that's your winner, Sam Hyde!
Bloody. Oh! I'm dripping!
Yeah, I made that during the whole creator clash shit. I thought that was funny. I love Sam Hyde. Sam Hyde's funny. He's an interesting character. Sometimes the irony is lost on me, but I get it. That's like his shtick, you know, like irony, just like irony on top of irony. Like it's so insanely obtuse, his opinion, that it can't be real. But then again, he's saying it's real. You know, that's kind of like the deal. I like the fish tank. I think fish tank's a fucking great idea. Jet did a great job on that. I think that was all of Jet's stuff. And what Sam Hyde's done for like Airsoft Fatty. I think Sam Hyde did maybe he may have exploited Airsoft Fatty a little bit, but he helped him out, I think. I think the most real he was his response to Elon. I did not watch that. I'll have to watch that. I saw people like reacting to it. Maybe I should too. I don't know. I'm not too good at this reacting stuff. I'm trying here. I'm trying. The Chad, what up? How's it going? Is it worth watching? Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. We'll probably do it tomorrow. I wanted to do this one. This one's an hour 12. I had the lolcow iceberg next. It's already almost 1 o'clock, so we'll probably finish this one off and then watch a little bit of that.
So sends an email, and I think there were a number of lawyers copied in this email. I think those lawyers should have been in the BCC field,
Chad,
the
how you
blind
doing, man?
copy field, but they were in the CC field, and I think it was a mistake. And they were lawyers from nonprofit NGOs that are funded by USAID and George Soros. So it became very apparent to me at that point why it was so
Why?
politically difficult to get the law passed in Texas and so forth. So let me now explain a little bit of the background about how Republicans actually started the transgender movement.
Going good. I'm finally playing some scary games again after playing only Backrooms games in February and Mascot Horror in March. Yeah, didn't you have to go through like 70 Backrooms games? How'd that go? I hope you recorded that shit. That seems like decent content. Like you like rate each backgrounds game. That seems cool. Scary games are fun. I agree. I haven't played one in a while, but I think the last one, like besides like Phasmophobia and probably like Lethal Company. Lethal Company's scary, right? I turned into like 135 Backrooms games. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm gonna do a tier list video. Nice. Soma is one of my favorites. I've heard of Soma. I haven't played it. It's akin to Amnesia, right? The ultimate backgrounds tier list or Backrooms tier list definitive edition. Hell yeah, dude. Do it to it. Yeah, it's the same developer. Okay. I played Amnesia, the first one. I thought that was really good. And then I watched like it might have been an Ars Technica, like going over like the game design choices of Amnesia and how the paranoia or the like your mental health in the game, your fuck, I forgot what it was called. You know what I'm talking about, like your sanity. That's it. The sanity system in Amnesia was totally bullshit. Like it didn't matter. Yeah, sanity. Yeah. Cool interview though. I think that might be cool reacts for this channel because it's like game dev. Ars Technica does some good shit, man. They like went over how Dead Space was made. And the guy from the guy who made Dead Space, he worked on Sledgehammer Games for like Call of Duty World War II and shit. He's cool. Interesting. I like game dev reactions. Yeah, I want to find some pirate software code if I can. I still have to do some code review for Yandere Dev. Maybe we'll do that this week. It's been fun watching people react to that Threat Interactive. I haven't seen that Threat Interactive. The writer for Dead Space was Warren Ellis, one of my favorite comic writers. Is that the same guy? Like, kind of beefy, chunky looking dude? Hold on. Warren Ellis. Nope, not this guy. Guys, if you would, I think I have a React. Okay, here's the guy. War Stories, Ars Technica. This is good. The War Stories series, and then like they have another one for like Crash Bandicoot and how Crash Bandicoot, like all his polygon, like he was like the most polygoned character for like facial expressions and shit in a PlayStation game, and they had to hack the PS1 in order to get it to work. It's pretty sick. I think I have a React recommendations. Here, I'll edit the channel. Post it in the React recommendations channel, and I will I'll get to it. Oh, we already have some others. Tipster, the ultimate lolcow. Okay, I'll have to watch that too. Yeah, I got a bunch of... Okay, yeah. Post it in the React. Do you appreciate it? Hell yeah. Yeah, if you can link the Elon Musk shit too, the Elon Musk Sam Hyde thing, that'd be cool. Do appreciate it, guys. Crash is dope. I love Crash
So
Bandicoot.
the largest donor to the Republican Party today is a guy named Paul Singer. And Paul Singer founded the Human Rights Campaign. You know, the yellow equal sign? Yeah, a Republican founded that, not a Democrat. And he also runs the Manhattan Institute, completely
There's
funds
money
it,
in
which
it.
is a prominent conservative think tank.
Liberals
He funds
love
the Claremont
spending money.
Institute and is a substantial donor to the
Liberal
Heritage
with their
Foundation.
wallets.
So he has a lot of say over what these people do. He's deeply committed to the transgender issue and funded lawsuits for it all over the country, created the framework for corporations to the scoring
to the
system
Discord server.
for gay and transgender people that are used for investments, you know, like Vanguard and all these big investment things, whether they're going to invest in buy your stock or not. He invented all that stuff. So he's the largest donor to the Republican Party. He's the largest out-of-state donor to politicians in Texas. So that's what I'm actually fighting here. That's what I've actually been fighting. Billionaire hedge fund guys that want leftist social policies. So I'm in this California court and I find this, I see these lawyers and these foundations. And
My biggest question is like, why do these billionaire companies want these? Like, why do they want to do this? Like, what's the end game for them? You know, what's the business tactic? Because that's all they care about is like the business tactic. They want to earn money off of this shit. Like like obviously transgender surgery and shit. It's good business. Like people are gonna pay like money for this. They're gonna get hundreds of millions of dollars from this shit. Same as like the cancer business, because the cancer business is booming. You know, that's why they put all that bullshit in our foods, trying to give us cancer. It's money.
I'm like, oh, that's what's really happening. So then my antenna is up.
I have the same question. Yeah.
In California's weird
Actually, I have a hypothesis. Let's hear it, dude. Let's hear it.
in family court. You get 3 judges.
I think it's just
In
money.
a California family court. You get a supervising judge, which was Judge Kaufman in LA County. You get a home court judge, which was Judge Kazadi, and then you get a trial judge. And it allows you to kind of almost have like a little appeal for things. If something doesn't go quite right, you can go back up to the supervising judge, have a look at it, right? So right off the bat, we meet with home court judge, Judge Kazadi. She's completely taken my side. She's like, why can't this man see his kids? There's no reason he can't see his kids. There's no domestic violence. There's no even allegations of abuse. It's never occurred. Like, why can't he see his kids? Opposing counsel.
Think they want to change the world in their image? Do you think that's really their image, though? Like these billionaires? Like, do you think that's their image? Unless it's just like full of fucking pedophiles and shit, obviously, you know, and maybe they just want like this is just a step closer to maybe lowering the age of consent. I don't know, or like normalizing pedophilia.
It starts texting. Then the judge picks up her phone.
Or it's just a big ass distraction for other shit. Like obviously these social issues are a huge distraction and it divides the country. If it ain't race wars, it's gender wars, right? So keep the people divided and you can fucking walk right down the middle and do do whatever the fuck you want.
And reads a text.
But this is my tinfoil hat, you know what I mean? I wish I had one.
And she says, we're going to take a 30-minute recess. She walks out of the courtroom. Even the court reporter was like, what? What happened? She comes in after 30 minutes and says nothing other than the following. This case is sealed. And walks out.
Wow.
The clerks at the LA County courthouse completely deleted all my records.
Wow.
My lawyer could not access them. I could not access them. Nobody could access them. Except, interestingly, opposing counsel, the one who sent the text, could still access them. So that's the first thing weird that happened. my entire record was deleted. They have a way of keeping it offline so you can only get paper copies. They have a way of protecting the paper copies. We have to get permission from a judge. They didn't do that. They actually deleted it. So that happens. Then they collapse all 3 of those judicial functions into one judge, Mark Uhas, who's my trial court judge. So now he's the supervising judge, the home court judge, and the trial judge. He rules that the records are sealed, the case is sealed, and no one may enter the courtroom except me, the lawyers, and expert witnesses. So the public was denied the right to view the trial. No one saw what they did to me in there. And this is really important, and the judge probably had to do this to prevent himself from being prosecuted. So there's a whole network of court watchers in family court, and here's what we found. Some of them will secretly record. They're not supposed to, but they'll secretly record the proceedings.
So like while people are arguing over bathrooms or whatever, they push they push you the next thing you really want to do while everyone is busy. Yeah. It's a tactic as old as time. Distract the masses and you can do what you want.
Then we get the court reporter's record, and it doesn't match the audio recording.
Ooh, you know what they just released recently? The JFK files, like all of them. I think Trump signed something where they had to release everything. And fuck, not William Mack. There's another guy. He did like a overview on it, and I want to watch that. We might do that this week too. Shit, I might just try streaming every day this week and just like really put in the grind. I just been lacking. I do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a few hours. You know, I just don't have a lot of time. I might try an everyday schedule. We'll see. Wendigoon, that's it. Did a good overview. That's the name, Wendigoon. Yeah, I want to watch that. Chad, did you watch it? Any good? Any crazy things said?
And it happens all the time. The judges are instructing the court reporters to alter the record to prevent an appeal. And a lot of times these judges are committing felonies on the bench by violating criminal statutes. That won't be in the record. One of the things in my written record that's a lot, they just put 3 dots and say they couldn't hear me. So I made objections which were important on appeal, but they don't show in the record because the court reporter couldn't hear me.
It, yeah.
So that's why he had to keep people out of the court, to prevent illicit recording, because he knew very well what he was going to do. And sure enough, right off the bat, he denies me an independent medical exam. So the medical status of this child is the fundamental issue, right? The medical and psychological status of the child. He denies me an independent medical exam. He denies me an independent psychological exam. And the other side didn't even have to give me evidence in discovery, which violates the Discovery Act in California and is grounds for disbarment.
Yeah.
I didn't get any discovery in my case, but I had to provide discovery. I provide over 1,000 pages of discovery. That's a lot of work, a week's worth of work. So right off the bat, he goes down this road. Then I noticed a change in him, and I think somebody on the appellate court got to him and said,
What'd you think of my hypothesis? I didn't see it. Did you post it in chat? Or where'd you post it at? The last thing you said was, actually, I have a hypothesis, and then you started talking about the Wendigoon shit.
Said, you're being so unfair to the guy. I don't know that if he comes up here, we'll have to rule for him.
Filtered.
Because it looks so bad.
Post it in
right now.
Discord. Copy paste.
So
it
then
in
he
Discord.
became scrupulously fair after that.
All right, hold on.
And let me make my case. I destroyed their.
Okay, I see it now. Oh my god, dude, I've missed so much. I'm so sorry, guys. I have not been replying to a lot of this shit. All right, this is crack here. Okay, there's a political tactic called the sorcerer's circle, where you get people to fight over something and then you push your real agenda in the background. Yeah, I didn't know it was a an actual like name for it. That's cool. The left is very organized and activist. Championing their causes gets you tons of brownie points on the left. Going against them will get you a lot of heat and boycott real fast. The right doesn't really give a shit, so championing their causes only pisses off the left and will never really rally the right like it would if you supported the left. It's like while people are arguing over bathroom. Okay. I think you're onto something. I think the right can be organized as well. I mean, shit, look at what, January 6th? But then again, you know, tinfoil hat, a lot of people are saying that it was people were planted to instigate riots and stuff. But, you know, that's just conjecture and hearsay. Change the, okay, it's okay, been there? All right. Do you stream as well, Cracky? I didn't know there was a name for that either. Yeah. So, I think you're onto something. You know. Let me read it again. Me personally, I feel like I'm more towards the right. Like, maybe like right centralist. You know? Yeah, I do stream. All right, I'll check it out. Maybe like right centralist, you know what I mean? And my whole stance is like, I just like cracking jokes. I like memeing, and I like making fun of shit. And I like pissing off the opposition. You know, I'm a big ass troll, and that's my whole that's my whole attitude towards this shit. Because I know it will not affect my family unless something happens with my ex-wife. She's a little bit more liberal, which is weird because that's not like. I was fucking cracking jokes and memeing back then too, but she got insanely liberal since all that bullshit. But anyways, like if my wife were to push something onto my son, which I don't think she would, but I think she would encourage it in a certain way. But anyways, but has the right ever burned town car dealerships? Most they ever did was not buy Bud Light. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, you know, what the right has done besides like the Jan 6 shit, only because it was so out in the open. Like I know that more leftists were like doing Chad zones or Chaz zones and shit, which is essentially the same thing, if not worse. Like they took over it was the Capitol, right? They took over the Capitol for fucking, was it like a month? More? I know, like, leftists are, like, burning down car dealerships and shit from Tesla because they don't like Teslas. That's fucking weird.
They don't like Elon Musk.
Yeah, they don't like Elon Musk. And get over it. I see a lot of people, like, get all pissed off talking about Trump going, like, trying to go for a third term. And we haven't even got through the second. We haven't even got through the second one yet. The only president to ever do more than 2 terms was, I think it was Roosevelt. It was Roosevelt, and that was only because of World War II. And he went for 4. If it's not, Jesus Christ. If it's not Roosevelt, let me know. Pretty sure it was. I don't want to come across as a conservative apologist. I have plenty of gripes with them, but I think I dislike the left way more. Yeah, FDR. I mean, I'm not gonna apologize for my morals. You know what I mean? But I'm willing to have my my mind changed. And I think that's a very important. It's very important to have, like being able to, like, obviously you have to stand your ground. Don't just be a fucking, like, don't be wishy-washy. You know what I mean? Be able to articulate your point of view, but also have an open mind and be like, okay, why do they do this? Why is that a thing? You know? I consider myself anti-political, but leftists will accuse me of all kinds of things. Yeah. No, I won't either. I try to be ideologically consistent. I hate tribalism so much. Yo, that's so weird. The tribalism thing. I see it all the pirate software thing was like the biggest introduction to tribalism. I had so many people come in just because they hated pirate software, and I thought that shit was so funny. I wasn't gonna I was gonna milk it a little bit, but I didn't milk it. I was gonna just beat it to death. We have like one more thing with him that I'm waiting on, and then that'll be the end of it. But I see so many people supporting things they wouldn't agree with if it was the other side, but when the other side does it, it's okay with them. Oh, yeah, okay. I see what you're talking about, yeah. Like if the left does something that the right would do, fucking years earlier, or years later, or whatever. Years earlier? Yeah. And just because it's the Democrats, they're okay with it. And same for the Republicans, too. I think Republicans do the same thing. Personally, I don't go off of what some douchebag on the internet says is true or not. I usually just go with my own morals. I just trust my own heart and my own morals, and make my decisions based on that, right? I'm not as easily swayed. I'm open to having my mind changed if it aligns with my morals. Sometimes only months apart. Yeah, I feel that. But, yeah, for the most part, I make decisions based on the good of my family and their futures. But I think tribes are okay if they're small, like your family and friends. Okay, yeah, that makes sense too. Like, what's that saying? Like, it takes a village, right? Like, if your family has, like-minded shit. Like, obviously, you have to... Did Idle Streaming Bonanza ever release? No, I'm still waiting. Steam fucked me over, so I couldn't release it again, and now I have to submit a... my lawyer has to write a document explaining why the game does not use likenesses of other people, and then I can release it. But he's also building a case against Pirate Software with Dan Saltman. So now, I'm kind of stuck. I can't do anything right now. Fucking Steam and that roach. Yeah. So Steam fucked me, and I'm just kind of waiting on my lawyer to write up a document. But he's also trying to put litigation together. So it might actually work out in my favor if I were to wait, because it will build anticipation. I hate doing that because I had a set release date for the game, and I wanted to release it in February. That was my original release date, was February, and now I'm 2 months late. So, and who knows how fucking late I'm gonna be. So either whenever the shit with Pirate Software ends, I'll release another video and hopefully the game, and then that way, obviously, the people will come in and be like, oh shit, the Pirate Software stuff, and it'll get 100,000 views because that's what the last one fucking got. And the game might do okay. Maybe. We'll see what happens. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket, but I just want to release the game so that way I can have another title underneath my belt and on Steam, and I can start working on some other shit. I'm depending on that to fund later projects. Like this Chud game, this is for Chud's community, right? But I'm getting something out of it. I'm building connections and networking with people because of this game. But it's not going to bring me any monetary benefits towards my end goal, which is to be able to do this full time for my own company, Anarchy Games. And that's my end goal. Is I want to be able to wake up and go to work and work on my games and sell them, not wake up, go to work for a construction company and come back home and start working on my games. So, and now you can say you are actually losing money from the ordeal, having to wait so long to sell it. You are right. You are correct that I should actually bring that up to my lawyer.
Their witnesses. Then, when he comes out with his ruling, he basically removes the gag order.
Working for yourself is where it's at. 100%. That is like, I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted, guys. You guys bring up like great points, and I love talking with chat about different subjects. But working for yourself is just a dream of mine. And working, like, it could be for YouTube. I'm not too well versed in YouTube. I'm experimenting and I'm trying different things. Like, some of my commentary stuff does good. Some of my game dev stuff, not too good. My animations tend to do okay. I don't know where to take this channel. So I'm just trying different things and seeing what works out. And I'm like, I asked some other people, but I don't know. I need like a fucking channel audit and someone to be like, yeah, you just need to head in this direction. But it has pros and cons, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Chad, you work for yourself too? That's fucking sick, dude. Cracky Reeves, do you do that? You work for yourself as well?
The illegal gag order. Because in California, apparently in the appellate court, that's just not going to stand.
Yeah, I'm on HVAC company. Oh, we talked about this before.
And here, they allow free speech here, so that's it. I even, in a very funny moment in the court, forced him to admit that right-wing speech was free speech. And he really didn't want to do that, but
What
that was
type
pretty
of
funny.
freelancer?
So he takes that gag order off. Then he still keeps me on supervised visitation, but he now says phone calls have to be supervised. So a
Supervised
phone call to my
calls.
kid's going to cost me $500, right?
Oh, technical translation. I'm retarded, dude. You fucking said this earlier that you were a translator. That's right. Apologies.
And he says she doesn't have to give the kids your letters. And if you send presents, she doesn't have to give them to the kids. And she doesn't have to tell you anything about their medical or educational or anything. You don't get any notifications at all.
This guy got fucked every which way from Sunday.
So that's what happened. So we go through some post-trial litigation after. They're trying to get me to pay, I think, $99,000 in legal fees and all this stuff.
He got buried in that shit.
It's really about, the family court is really about getting the father to fund all the litigation. Because they want the father to go away, basically.
Yep.
So we're doing this post-trial litigation. I file an anti-SLAPP lawsuit. And California has an anti-SLAPP statute which lets you challenge any attempt to silence your speech, and it's mandatory that you get attorney's fees if you win. So he had to rule on the anti-SLAPP motion. It's mandatory.
Hell yeah.
So what he said was, Mr. Younger admitted in my court, he says,
many stories
in
like
the
this?
ruling,
Yeah.
that I just got yesterday morning. Mr. Younger admitted in my court that he is going to continue to be politically active and try to outlaw transgender procedures in California. Mr. Younger's speech, however, political speech, however, has resulted in harassment of plaintiff, my ex-wife. Therefore, it's not covered under the anti-SLAPP statute because his political speech was harassment.
Wow.
He never connects the fact that I'm lobbying for laws or doing interviews like the one I'm doing now to actual harassment of her. I'm sure third parties have harassed her. I believe her when she says it. It's just,
Of course.
I'm not harassing her.
A lot of crazy ass motherfuckers.
Right? I hardly mention her name, right? But he used the fact that she had been harassed by third parties who are nameless, but nobody knows who they are, to maintain some of the speech restrictions on me. He's basically said in the ruling, Mr. Younger, if you're going to use your political rights and try to outlaw transgender procedures on kids in California, you can't see your kids. That's basically what the ruling says. And that's where I'm at now. So I'm working on an election recall on Mark Uhas, because he's done this to several other fathers. So he has a pattern of behavior on the bench of violating parental rights. I'm working on a recall of Gavin Newsom. And in the high desert areas in Southern California, people are not happy with him.
These kids are going to grow up and they're going to see everything that their father did for them. And they're going to hate the shit out of their mother. They're not going to want to ever talk to her. They're going to grow up and oh my God, man.
And I think we can get a recall election. I don't know if we can win it, but I think we can get a recall election.
I mean, this guy, like, I wonder, does this guy's fight stop when his kids turn 18? Does he just stop when they turn 18? Or do you keep going? Like, because you're still, like, yeah, you're trying to run for elections and you're trying to get laws passed. And you're doing this for your children. But after your children, like let's say his children don't go through with it, right? And they just like, Dad, I want to live with you. You know, I want to get to know you because, Mom stole us away from you. Like, does this stop? You know?
And I have already prepared model legislation for the California legislature to outlaw these procedures on kids. And we're going to put a lot of grassroots pressure on some of these people to do this. And of course, we're going to have to go head to head with your Senator Scott Wiener.
Scott
You know,
Wiener.
I've always said that if I could ever
The
agree
irony.
to any transgender operation, it would be to cut Wiener out of the California Senate. That guy needs to go.
Cut him out. Cut the wiener out.
He's going to be our main obstacle, and he's politically powerful because he's a donation magnet for big donors who want to push this stuff. Guys like Paul Singer and guys like George Soros.
He's trying not to laugh, but that's
I do
a joke.
think I
He's trying to hold that fucking joke in.
got
They're
some
trying to hold that
benefit
giggle
from President Trump's executive order. I was working with his staff and was in contact with them about this, and they promised me that he would do it in the first month, and they did it in the first 3 weeks.
Wow.
It's actually the first time elected officials ever kept a promise to me. And I do think James is not on cross-sex hormones yet. And Children's Hospital has said after Trump's order that if you're already on a treatment plan, we'll keep doing it, but we're not putting any new kids on it. So it may prevent my son from getting cross-sex hormones. And why is that important? If you look at the statistics, every child that goes into cross-sex hormones, 100% of them go to surgery. 100%.
Wow.
It alters the brain and it alters things sufficiently that all of them go to surgery. So keeping my son off cross-sex hormones is my main focus right now. I'm going to also work with 2 senators who have already introduced bills to allow children who have been victimized by these procedures with a 30-year statute of limitations, because we don't know the long-term effects of this stuff, to sue the clinics. That long statute of limitations would be enough for most clinics to shut it down because it's too risky legally. I'm trying to get Senator Hawley to modify his bill in the federal Congress to allow parents to sue as well. And that's what Trump's executive order calls for. So Trump has directed the agencies to work with the Congress to make that happen. So all the agencies will assist me in doing that, and I'll be there next month.
Saw a very similar story to this a few days ago. The dude's ex-wife basically kidnapped his son and took him from Texas to California to get him trans. Damn. It's fucking sad, man. And these kids can't do nothing about it either, because like they're gonna listen to mommy and daddy. They're gonna listen to mommy and daddy. This guy's more composed than me, man. I'd be livid. I'd be going through like fucking murder spree.
In DC,
In a video game.
working on that. So basically what's happened is my ex-wife generated more leftist political power in Texas and California than I was able to produce. She produced more political power than me and was able to eventually, after 10 years, chemically castrate my son.
Wait, she did chemically castrate him?
DC, working on that. So basically, what's happened is, and
Hold up.
agencies calls for. So the Trump has directed the agencies to work with the Congress to make that happen. So all the agencies will assist me in doing that, and I'll be there next month in D.C. working on that. So basically, what's happened is my ex-wife generated more leftist political power in Texas and California than I was able to produce. She produced more political power than me and was able to eventually, after 10 years, chemically castrate my son.
Oh my God.
So what
They actually did it. They actually did it. There's too much social psychosis in women. It's not all women, though. It's not all women. Like, my wife is fucking amazing, right? Hold on. What is this guy's actual... What's his... Jeff Younger. Oh, here's fucking Twitter. The untold truth about Jeff Younger. We'll have to go through this. Give me a second. I'm bringing it up.
I'm going to have to do is generate even more political power in order to try to keep him off cross-sex hormones.
No, not all, but many are susceptible to it, yeah.
And that's basically where I'm at right now.
Heartbreaking story.
Yeah.
How's your mental
She
health?
fucking did
So
it, dude.
what
Like,
I'm
look
going to
at
have
this
to do
guy's
is
defeated
generate
face, man.
even more
He is about to cry.
and was able to eventually, after 10 years, chemically castrate my son. So what I'm going to have to do is generate even more political power in order to try to keep him off cross-sex hormones. And that's basically where I'm at right now.
That's so fucking sad, dude.
Heartbreaking story.
Yeah.
How's your mental health?
Well, there's some things I've learned. I remember sitting in a deposition facing
Bro, that shit makes me so fucking angry.
Jessica Janicek, who was the top attorney from Coons Fuller. She's a specialist in removing fathers from children's lives.
I see you in Discord.
She has a
Check it out.
technique for getting every father onto supervised visitation. Took her a long time with me, but she eventually got me. I was in a deposition, and she was using incredibly insulting language about my children and other things. And I realized she was trying to bait me to act like a man. And if I acted like a man, they can say I'm abusive. And I realized that being calm was a weapon that I could use. And I can tell you definitely in that California courtroom, my calmness saved me from lots worse. It could have been a lot worse for me from Judge Mark Uas. But that ability to be calm. And that has actually, I think, had mental health benefits.
I'm sure.
You know, to be under extreme stress and duress, but be able to remain calm.
Now, the way you presented this whole story without getting upset or
Yeah.
swearing or anything like that
Yeah, and I really want to.
is remarkable.
You probably saw me bite back a few, because I know we're on YouTube, but it's like, so there's that. I think there's a sense also of the long game, you know? No matter what happens to James, there's nothing that no mistake he can make that's so bad, he can't get to heaven. He can always get to heaven, right? And so you have to have a sense of proportion. It's a temporary life we lead here. I believe in a life that transcends this this life. And if you have a belief like that, you take things seriously, but not too seriously. You know what I'm saying? So my son's, the condition of my son's spirit is more important to me than his body, put it that way. And so
Unfortunately, this kid is not going to have a bright future, in my opinion. This is speculation, conjecture. I don't see something very bright, and it sucks. And obviously, he's gonna have mental issues later down the line that could cause a suicide or something else, And the mother should be absolutely ashamed of herself. That being said, we only have one side of the story. Apparently, there's some untold truths about Jeff Younger, from what Reddit says. But who the fuck believes Reddit? Reddit's full of fucking weirdos.
I'm playing the long game.
Oh, this is one I was talking about where the mom took the kid from to Cali. Okay, I'll check it out.
And I'm 60, I'm almost 60. And, I just want to be around long enough to help him over that. Want to leave him a legacy to get started on. I want his brother to keep some of the awesome character traits that his brother has, his brother Jude, and build on those things. So I'm just playing the long game, and I think that helps. I have, my dad used to tell me, like when things are really bad and you just have lost hope and stuff. Like when I was not a very good boxer at first, and for some reason I didn't have good perception. It kind of, my dad could never quite figure out why, but I was a real powerful hitter, but I would get hit a lot. And I would get real frustrated. My dad said, "Look, you can't despair over this stuff, right?" He said, "Anytime you feel like you just are lost, just make your situation 1% better."
And watch it till the end.
Just 1% better. And all the
I probably won't watch the whole thing. I'll screen it real quick. It might be a tomorrow show. Like I said, it's 1:30 a.m. for me right now, guys. I start at 11, but I'll be live. I'll go live tomorrow as well, same time, and I'll start picking up the slack on some of these videos you guys sent. I'll try to get them all.
Despair will go away because you realize tomorrow you can do it another percent. And when you understand that attitude that my dad gave me, I think has really helped me, because when I'm down, I just get to work and make the situation 1% better for James. And that could mean anything from writing him a letter, putting it online. Thank you.
I think this is it.
When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit.
All right. If you guys want to watch it yourself, channel is called Soft White Underbelly. 6.3 million subscribers. God damn. Mommy Tells Me I'm a Girl. Jeff Younger. You can go check that out if you want to watch it for yourself. All right. Let me see what the Chad put in Discord real quick. Okay. Cracky, thanks for putting that Sam Hyde thing in there. Did you put it in general? Oh, here it is. React. Okay. This is the first one. He has more along these lines. I'll just do this. What is this? Fake optimization in modern graphics. Oh, this is the Threat Interactive. Okay. Alright, I'm going to put this in watch later. First one is Threat Interactive. Okay.
Okay, I wake up at 6 a.m.
Base Dad Spoil. Are you talking about this guy? I've seen this one. This is the Bitcoin Dad. He's the breakdancer. Yeah, I saw this one. I thought this was the, oh shit. You said something about the kid going through with like the transgender stuff. I thought this was this one. Yeah, this one's crazy. The mom lying to the kids and shit, and this guy shilling out what $5 million to the mom. There be some evil women out there, man. There be some evil women.